Hello and welcome to Pushing Back, Ukraine Daily Brief. As the war enters its 748th day, these are the main developments from the past 24 hours. Russia has lost approximately 426,870 troops in Ukraine since the beginning of the war, the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces reported. The number, which has not been independently verified, includes 980 casualties over the past day. According to the released Ukrainian figures, Russia lost 5 tanks, 20 armored combat vehicles, 32 artillery systems, 1 multiple launch rocket system, 2 air defense systems, 22 drones, 1 cruise missile, 62 vehicles, and 8 pieces of special equipment. Denmark announced 16th military aid package for Ukraine valued at $337 million. The US also announced an important security assistance package for Ukraine worth $300 million. The update from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. There were 78 combat engagements. The enemy launched a total of 9 missile and 73 air strikes, carried out 72 multiple launch rocket systems attacks at the positions of Ukrainian troops and various settlements. The Ukrainian Air Force launched air strikes on 9 concentrations of troops, weapons, and military equipment of the occupiers. The Ukrainian missile troops hit 1 concentration of troops, 1 artillery system, 2 air defense systems of Russian invaders. In its latest intelligence update, the UK's Ministry of Defence reports. Early voting for the March 15-17, 2024, Russian presidential elections has begun in the temporarily Russian-controlled territories of Ukraine, accompanied by intensified efforts to boost participation. Concerns arise due to the lack of independent observers, missing voter lists, and coercive measures, with approximately a third of the pre-war population remaining in the conflict-affected areas. Despite lacking legitimacy, occupation authorities are expected to claim a high turnout with overwhelming support for Putin, further undermining the credibility of the elections. In its latest intelligence update, the Institute for the Study of War. The all-Russian pro-Ukrainian Russian Volunteer Corps, Freedom of Russia Legion, LSR, and Siberian Battalion conducted a limited cross-border incursion into Belgorod and Kursk oblasts on the morning of March 12. The New York Times reported that Russian and Ukrainian forces have differential advantages and disadvantages in their electronic warfare capabilities. U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence's 2024 Annual Threat Assessment reported that Russian President Vladimir Putin probably believes that Russian forces have blunted Ukrainian efforts to retake significant territory and that U.S. and Western support to Ukraine is finite. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan announced an emergency military aid package valued at $300 million for Ukraine on March 12. Lithuanian and French authorities are expected to meet in Paris in the coming days to discuss accelerating support for Ukraine. The Kremlin continues to assert its right, contrary to international law, to enforce Russian federal law on officials of NATO members and former Soviet states for actions taken within the territory of their own countries where Russian courts have no jurisdiction, effectively denying the sovereignty of those states. The Kremlin recently implemented a series of personnel changes in the Russian Ministry of Defense, Rosgvardia, and the Russian Military Command. Armenian President Nikol Pashinyan stated that Armenia would leave the Russia-led Collective Security Treaty Organization. The organization fails to meet certain Armenian expectations, as Armenia continues to distance itself from Russian security relations. The Kremlin is reportedly considering raising taxes, likely as part of efforts to increase federal budget revenues to fund its war in Ukraine. Russian forces recently made confirmed advances near Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Donetsk City. In Zelenskyy's nightly address he spoke about a rescue operation after a Russian missile strike on an apartment building in Kryvyi Rih. He expressed his condolences to the families of those who died and assures that the injured are receiving aid. Zelenskyy met with government officials to discuss strengthening the border guard service and praised several border guard units for their effectiveness. He mentioned that an important economic report on our resources and energy sectors was presented and good progress is being made. Ukraine was granted approval for the negotiating framework with the European Union. He concluded by thanking the United States for its military aid. Thanks for following today's updates. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. We'll return tomorrow with the latest news on the ongoing conflict.